Well, the two sides are out on the field of play here on the plastic pitch of Hayes Lane. Bromley away to our left-hand side as we look at it at the north end of the stadium, which is a terrace. Two sides of the stadium are terraced, and away to the right, the impressive Glyn Beverley stand, which is a single-tiered, all-seater stand. We are sat in the main stand, the John Fiorini stand here beneath the floodlights, and Sam Parkin, part of the Wycombe Wanderers side, who went on to reach the FA Cup semi-finals in 2001, is alongside me. Sam, do we have all the ingredients for a remarkable FA Cup upset tonight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough game for Blackpool. Bromley have been in really good form, defensively strong. I think they're very robust. I think physically they'll try and put their League One opponents under real pressure, especially from the dead ball. Really good striker, in form. I mean, it always feels like Michael Cheek's in form when I'm looking at the National League results and National League goal scorers. Followed his career after training with them a little bit a few years ago when he was at Chelmsford. He's a really good goal scorer. So they've got threats, they've got some players with league experience. Blackpool will have to start the game well, deal with their new surroundings, deal with a different pitch, and hope that their technical quality, which makes them league players, will see them through tonight.
It is the world's oldest and greatest domestic cup competition, and here on the TalkSport network we will always love the FA Cup. Can National League Bromley shock Blackpool of League One? 43 places between the two sides. We are off and underway. Bromley, the home team, in their black and white, playing from left to right towards the all-seater Glyn Beverley stand beneath the floodlights on a chilly night here in southeast London, and Blackpool all in tangerine, of course, playing from right to left. And about 300 hardy Blackpool fans have made the long trip from the northwest of the country down the motorway to the capital city, and they're clapping and cheering on the far side of the field, though you can barely hear them on the far side, those Blackpool supporters in that open terrace. I tell you what, Sam Parkin, I hope for their sake it doesn't rain tonight.
Yeah, it's really open on the far side. There's not much cover for any supporters, is there, apart from this main stand, which I believe was just for members and season ticket holders only. So, yeah, it could be a wet night for a few if the heavens open.
Well, and lots of them seem to have arrived in the last 10 seconds, it feels like. There's a mass of people in front of us. We are packed into the middle of this main stand with Bromley fans and club officials all around us. But it's Blackpool on the attack very early on here. Early ball towards Lavery in the right wing position, darting down the right hand side. 0-0 the score. Lavery clips in the cross. Dale far post on the half volley, and it's just over the top of the crossbar. And Blackpool threaten inside a minute and 20 seconds. Owen Dale at the far post, the young winger. Snapshot on his right foot, his slightly weaker side, over the top. Goalkeeper Grant Smith, I think, had it covered. It's Bromley 0, Blackpool 0 in the first round of the FA Cup, live on TalkSport 2.
Terrific advantage from the referee. It was definitely a foul on Dembele, who showed lovely little bit of quick feet over on the far side. Lavery played in down the right hand side, had the beating of Leroy, no problem at all to the byline. It was a beautiful stand-up. It's really difficult when you're travelling at that speed to get the kind of flight on the ball into a perfect area. Dale just couldn't quite get his right-footed shot onto the target, get his knee over the ball, and an early let-off for Bromley.
Smith is the goalkeeper for Bromley. Akoli, Webster the captain, formerly of Millwall, and Ellerue on loan from Charlton are the defenders. Passley and Topoloy are the wing-backs. Woods, Crowhouse and Whiteley in midfield. Dennis in support of the number 9, Michael Cheek up front. Michael Cheek, who scored a famous winner for Bromley in the FA Trophy final against Wrexham a couple of years ago. And Bromley are handedly placed in the National League, third in the division, albeit 9 points off the top of the table. I give you the Blackpool side in full too. Cup goalkeeper Richard O'Donnell, all in blue, is in goal. The defenders are Connolly, Ekpiteta, and Husband is on the ball now on the halfway line, with Lyons and Dale the wing-backs. Dougal, Morgan and Dembele in midfield. Lavery and Kouassi are the front two. Lots of people still milling around here at Hayes Lane, this tiny stadium which you come off the main road to reach here just off Hayes Lane, and it's very close to Norman Park. High ball up the middle from Callum Connolly is too long, and that's an easy gather from the Bromley goalkeeper Grant Smith. 0-0 with 3 minutes gone. If you're just joining us on TalkSport 2 on a day of FA Cup shocks, the National League side Aldershot beat Sam's old club Swindon 7-4, and they were 7-0 up at one stage, Aldershot, would you believe it? No time for a remarkable comeback from Swindon though, and well done to Ramsgate of the 8th tier. who edged out National League Woking. So Ramsgate will be in the second round of the FA Cup. In the Premier League today, big win for Manchester City over Bournemouth, live on TalkSport 2. Manchester United 1-0 winners at Fulham on TalkSport. Sheffield United's first win of the season at home to Wolves. Brentford beat West Ham. Crystal Palace won at struggling Burnley, and it finished Everton 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Tomorrow lunchtime on TalkSport 2, Norwich against Blackburn from the Championship. That's our next live commentary. An early touch for Smith, the Bromley goalkeeper. Hammers it high downfield. Good noise at Hayes Lane. Towering header away by Connolly. The loose ball was retrieved by Whiteley for Bromley, who are now on the attack on the far side, their left. Opportunity for the cross from Topoloy, high into the penalty area, headed away by Marvin Ekpiteta at the heart of that Blackpool back three, and Blackpool get it long up to Kouassi with the blue boots on, who steams over the halfway line, and he plays it through to Lavery. Lavery's in on goal, inside the area, lovely finish from Lavery, high into the top corner, and Blackpool make the perfect start. 4.5 minutes into the game, Shane Lavery with a clinical finish, and it's the worst possible opening for National League Bromley. Blackpool here aiming to avoid a cup banana skin, and they've made the ideal start to this match. Lavery with a terrific finish. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1.
Yeah, well, Lavery's already shown his electric pace over on the right hand side. That for me was about Kouassi. You could point holes probably in the ways that Bromley have defended the situation, and no one's tight with Kouassi. He's allowed to let the ball run across him, but then the release, the perfect timing of the pass that allows Lavery to run onto it, to remain onside, and then what comes next, Joe, is a thing of beauty. We can see from our position exactly what he needs to do. Bend it around the goalkeeper, right-footed around Smith. It's a strong side foot, kisses I think bar and post. It's a beautiful finish from Lavery. What a start to the game.
He's just passed it into the top corner. Shane Lavery opened up his body and curled the ball beyond the despairing Grant Smith. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1, and Neil Critchley's team have the lead against a Bromley side who, remember, coming into this match had lost just one of their last 17 matches in all competitions, Bromley, as they bid to reach the second round of the FA Cup tonight for just the fourth time in their history. But that, if there were any early Blackpool nerves, Sam Parkin, will certainly settle most of them.
Yeah, they've started fast. They had that opportunity from Owendale. They've been in control of the football. The one time Bromley were able to get onto the ball, they actually worked it into Louis Dennis, which is going to be really important for them. He's a good technical advanced midfielder playing as a 10 tonight. They're going to try and get the ball into his feet. Cheek will be working on the shoulders of the two centre-halves. They were just able to get it into Dennis. The move broke down, and then it was a great counter-attack from Blackpool.
Long ball from Woods for Bromley, high up the middle towards the number 9 Michael Cheek. It's cleared away, thumping clearance up into the air by Husband to the halfway line. Miscued header by Webster. Fireworks still going off in the background, by the way, near Norman Park, which is where the ground backs onto. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1 on TalkSport 2. The ball is on the halfway line with Dembele for Blackpool. Out to the right hand side, and it's hammered downfield by Andy Lyons, the right wing back. Header away by the giant Webster for Bromley, the very experienced centre half. Blackpool are still on the attack though. Early ball in towards Kouassi, headed away only as far as Dembele. Deflected effort, just wide of goal. Goalkeeper Smith was really scrambling there. Dembele, the diminutive and very dangerous attacking midfielder, fleet of foot with a curling effort, and a corner to Blackpool at the Norman Park end of the ground, and that home end terrace is very quiet at the moment with Blackpool a goal up.
Yeah, I just expected that to spin into the far corner. First the second balls at the moment. Blackpool, they got a big problem with the two wide players. I think that's the only difference in terms of the two setups. They're both back threes with wing backs, but looks like Blackpool playing Lavery off the left, Dembele off the right. Dembele sharp on the ball and sharp to the knockdown there to get his strike away. It's a big problem, I think, the lack of pace at the back for Bromley up against those two in particular.
They've crammed themselves on the terraces to get a better view here. It's Albie Morgan for Blackpool, taking the corner short to Dembele wearing gloves. Back out wide to Morgan, who shoots low and just wide of the near post. I think Smith would have had it covered this time. Albie Morgan, who knows South East London very well indeed, former Charlton player, took aim from range. Smith had it covered, but as I say, Neil Critchley's Blackpool have started with great intent. Inside the first 8 minutes, a goal to the good Sam Parkin, and they could already be further ahead than that.
Yeah, they've started sharp, in particular the front three. Just keep an eye on that. Maybe the Bromley back line will just have to drop off a little bit. We've seen both outside centre halves exposed in the opening 5 or 10 minutes here already. Need to get on the ball, stroke it about a little bit, try and get Dennis, as I said, into the play. The two number 8s have hardly had a kick between them either, so Crowhouse and Whiteley, not seen either of those two involved. It's been one-way traffic, really.
David Rock, the referee, has given Bromley a free kick on the halfway line, about 20 yards in front of us here, only 5 rows or so from the edge of the playing surface. Byron Webster, the captain, will clip it high and long, deep up to the edge of the Blackpool penalty area. Excellent header away by the towering Marvin Ekpiteta, and sent forward towards the halfway line by Albie Morgan, but it's won back in the middle of midfield by Corey Whiteley for Bromley with the red boots on. He's dispossessed, and there seem to be more tangerine shirts on the field than the white and black shirts of Bromley at the moment. Blackpool have been excellent in the game so far, and they're not doing badly at the moment in their bid for a return to the Championship at the first time of asking. Neil Critchley, the head coach, brought back for a second spell at the club in the summer, and they're only a couple of points off the League One playoff, Sam. He'll be delighted with how they've played in this first 10 minutes or so. Little flick downfield towards Lavery again. Was he blocked off by the defender Okoli? Referee says no, and it's through to Smith, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and probably a product of what we've seen. The opening exchanges here, Blackpool players running beyond the central defenders of Bromley there, so Okoli just getting hold of Lavery there and making sure he couldn't run beyond.
Oh, here's a chance for Passley through the middle, though. Goes down. Is that a penalty? Referee says no penalty. Massive scramble on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Blackpool scramble it away. Well, there was a big decision to be made there by the referee, David Rock. All of a sudden, Josh Passley was clear on goal, and the referee said no penalty. Bromley fans up out of their seats in front of us here in the main stand. They can't believe it. What was your first instinct, Sam Parkin? 1-0 to Blackpool.
Close, just about the right decision, I think, is my instinct, Joe. Looked like the defender was just trying to get back into a goal side position to make the challenge. Went down a little easily, maybe.
Long throw into the box this time for the near side of the field. It's come back out wide to the taker of the throw, Louis Dennis. He flicks in the cross, headed away at the near post by Husband for Brighton, and then it's hammered clear, sliced upfield. A rather ugly slice of the ball, straight out of play by Andy Lyons on his weaker side. And Blackpool, for the first time in the game, 10.5 minutes into it, are on the back foot. And Bromley, a few moments ago, thought they should have had a penalty kick, the National League team.
Yeah, I've seen it again, Joe, and I think it's the right decision. I think he just doesn't take the ball in his stride in front of him there. It's actually left a little behind him, the wing back who was getting in on goal. So I think that's a good call under big pressure for the officials early part of this game. Big shout, wasn't it, from the fans behind our goal to our right.
The Glyn Beverley end of the stadium, named after a former club official. And there's a corner for Bromley here, and that's where they can be really dangerous, in particular the side third in the National League. Lots of players in black and white are forward for this corner, which is from the near side of the field as we look at it. The Bromley right, floated in high towards the far post, and up went Okoli, and then it's thundered over the top. In fact, I think that's gone so far wide from Byron Webster, it's gone out of play for a throw about 10 yards from the corner flag. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1 on TalkSport 2, but that's much better from Andy Woodman's team, and you can spot Andy Woodman a mile off. He's got a white baseball cap on the far side of the field, a former goalkeeper who has worked as a coach under the likes of Arsene Wenger and Alan Pardew, and would you believe it, he was Gareth Southgate's best man at his wedding. They met when they were apprentices at Crystal Palace, and Andy Woodman was on the weekend sports breakfast on TalkSport earlier today, and very positive about the chances that Bromley have got of producing a giant killing. Who knows, but they are a goal down to Blackpool very early on. He said, Andy Woodman, he can't quite believe it when he talks management with Gareth Southgate. They both talk about the problems that they've got potentially in their teams. One of them is managing a team in the National League, the other team is managing the national side. Quite incredible, the diverging journey of two players who met as schoolboys. Andy Woodman now on the edge of his technical area on the far side of the field at that open terrace on the far side, the cricket club side of the stadium. And Bromley now have a free kick 10 yards into Blackpool territory. Much better from the home team this. Ben Crowhouse and Josh Passley standing over it. Crowhouse floats it in high on the diagonal up towards Okoli, who was forward, cleared away by Blackpool, and now the team in Tangerine are on the counter-attack. Driving forward is Dale, to his right is Lavery. Lavery's got men forward in support. Kouassi is one of them. Kouassi right-handed to the penalty area, bundled over his man. That's an obvious Bromley free kick. I think it was Bess Topoloy who was back defending there, the Kosovan, the former Millwall player, and that's a free kick to Bromley inside their penalty area, away to our left-hand side. Well, what an energetic an exciting start to this game, Sam Parkin. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1.
Yeah, Andy Woodman will be pleased with the response. Obviously the penalty appeal and then a couple of set pieces. A good opportunity for Webster on the far side. They worked that one nicely. Trying to pick out his teammate Okalai, and Webster was round the back as well and just couldn't dispatch the volley. But that is a concern. The pace of Blackpool on the counter, absolutely explosive there. 2 or 3 tangerine shirts bombing forward, getting into the 18-yard box. Whiteley, the midfield player of Bromley, with a brilliant driving defensive run to get back into the position to make the challenge. Excellent defending, otherwise that could have been 2-0 and a mountain to climb at this early stage.
There's nothing like the FA Cup, and we just love it on the TalkSport network. We're also your home of the EFL on TalkSport 2. Tomorrow lunchtime, Norwich against Blackburn live in the Championship as the free kick is driven in high from the halfway line. Lyons going for goal, but he's got it all wrong. It's gone behind and away for a goal kick to Bromley. Fancy himself for a Harry Kane impersonation there, Andy Lyons, but it didn't quite come off. Monday night football, Tottenham against Chelsea on TalkSport. Tuesday night, the return of the Champions League to the network. Wednesday night, we'll follow Manchester United in Copenhagen on TalkSport. And on Thursday, Toulouse against Liverpool in the Europa League is on TalkSport 2. Underway in the Premier League, by the way, the 5:30 kickoff. Newcastle against Arsenal 0-0 as far as we know in the Premier League. The last FA Cup tie of the day, by the way, is at Mansfield, who take on Wrexham. That's a 7:45 start. Ball is high up in the air, just shy of the halfway line. It's flicked onto Bromley's Michael Cheek, the burly number 9, in the centre circle. Wide it goes to the near side, and Josh Passley, who's got Football League experience. He started at Fulham. Low ball into the near post is only half cleared. Calm on the ball was husband for Blackpool, and Lavery shrugs aside the challenge of Whiteley, and he scampers over the halfway line up the inside left channel right in front of our commentary position. Coley, who's on loan from Millwall, gets a tackle in from Bromley. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1. Over a quarter of an hour played now in the game. Morgan has the ball inside the centre circle for Blackpool. And Kenny Dougal, the Australian, back to the halfway line, and Ekpiteta. Blackpool have got a measure of control about their possession now. For the first time in the game, really, the pace of the game has somewhat died down, and so has the noise that has been raucous throughout so far here at Hayes Lane. The big dark green trees in the distance, and a television gantry on the far end of the ground as well, that open terrace side. Blackpool have it with Ekpiteta. Square ball to the right hand side of where he's standing, and Callum Connolly. Back to Ekpiteta again. Ekpiteta tall and slender. Now the loose ball is picked up by Morgan. Out to the right, and Connolly. Blackpool in no rush to force the build-up here. It's Dembele. Very quick fit from Dembele. Suddenly picks up the pace. Away from one white shirt, but not beyond the challenge of Elaroo. It's come back to the middle of the Bromley half, and Dougal for Blackpool. Blackpool all in tangerine. Dougal shoots from 25 yards, and it flashes a couple of yards wide of goal. Sam Parkin.
Yeah, it's a problem, I think, Dembele's position. Him and Lavery invariably are starting wide, but he's coming infield, kind of off the back of the holding midfield player. Centre half doesn't know whether to come out and engage him. He's looked really bright, and Dougal's always good for a goal from midfield. He gets the snapshot away in the end, but it's that front three, isn't it, again, especially the 2 outside ones that Bromley are just having a bit of a problem dealing with.
There's a great community club feel about Bromley when Sam, our producer, Izzy and I were getting some food before the game in the club restaurant. The whole playing staff walked through the restaurant and the bar to the cheers of the fans. As Passley crosses from the right for Bromley into the near post, just wide of goal. I think it was the on-rushing Corey Whiteley who got the final touch on his right boot. Instinctive run to the near post. I'm not sure goalkeeper O'Donnell would have got there. Best chance of the game for Bromley so far. Stays 1-0 to Blackpool.
A brilliant run from one of the advanced midfield players. Exactly what you want. Covering the areas, getting across the eye line of the goalkeeper there. Difficult finish though. Brilliant wide play from Passley on the right. Perfect delivery. It's just got to be that strong side foot, kind of hit the target, tried to feel it into the far post. It's a tough one, doesn't miss by much.
FA Cup commentaries, of course, as you'd expect across the season on the TalkSport network. We've got more live football than anybody else on national radio. Bromley on the attack with Dennis, who's got the pace to trouble Ekpiteta, but he gets there to send it back to the very experienced goalkeeper O'Donnell. High hanging clearance reaches the halfway line. Webster with the header away for Bromley, and the loose ball won back by Crowhouse, who draws the foul from Dougal. That's a free kick to Bromley on the halfway line. And 18 minutes into this game, and Bromley have shown, I think in the last 8-9 minutes or so, Sam Parkin, that they're here to play.
Yeah, they've responded pretty well to going behind. A couple of set pieces that Blackpool have just managed to scramble clear. Obviously we had that penalty appeal and they've been able to conjure a good opportunity themselves from open play just a few moments ago. Passley with a really good delivery, and like I said, that's exactly what you want from your midfield players, getting in the box, especially the advanced ones, and difficult finish, but Whiteley unfortunately not to execute it.
Not a spare place in this ground to be had tonight, and one or two spectators still arriving as Crowhouse pings the free kick on the diagonal towards the left-hand edge of the penalty area. It's flicked on inside the box, but the goalkeeper is able to gather. Ellerou was up there. He's been a prolific scorer for Bromley in the last couple of games. 2 goals in 2 matches for the 20-year-old defender on loan from Charlton Athletic, but it was a simple gather in the end for Richard O'Donnell, who ultimately hasn't had a save to make so far. The Blackpool goalkeeper. Blackpool, the 1953 FA Cup winners, the famous Matthews final, 4-3 over Bolton from 3-1 down at the old Wembley Stadium. Unfortunately for Blackpool, though, in more recent years, they have been on the end of a couple of cup shocks. They were beaten by Boreham Wood of non-league a few years ago. Bromley aiming to reach the second round for the first time since 1945. 1-0 down, but here's Crowhouse for them. Central position 30 yards out. Onto Whiteley. Whiteley drives it. Gathered by the goalkeeper O'Donnell. Simple save to his left-hand side. Still 1-0 Blackpool.
Do well to keep it alive, the 2 midfield players again, Crowhouse and Whiteley. It's difficult for Cheek up against Ekpateta. He'll relish that physical confrontation between him and the centre forward. He's going to win the majority of the ball, so it's important the midfielders are around there for the second ball. Do really well there, and Whiteley with his second attempt in quick succession, working the goalkeeper but unable to get it into either corner.
That's the voice of Sam Parkin, who knows a thing or two about FA Cup shocks. Part of the Wycombe side that ended up going all the way to the last 4 22 years ago. Good tackle by Crowhouse just shy of the halfway line for Bromley in front of Lavery, and encouragingly for Andy Woodman's side, Bromley starting to win more of the second balls in the middle of midfield, having more possession, more territory, and they're creating chances now.
Yeah, and that was probably important, just to let Shane Lavery know that he's not going to have it all his own way, because he's been the outstanding player to this point. I think 20 minutes in, he looks a level or 2 above Bromley in everything that he's done so far. He's been electric. He's hardly wasted the ball on a couple of attempts himself, scored a brilliant goal, and he's been a big problem for them in the opening 20 minutes, but it's just subsided somewhat.
Blackpool getting used to this artificial surface. Still fireworks going off in the distance near Norman Park and beyond. Bromley have won it back through Whiteley. Midway inside the Blackpool half, plays a neat 1-2 with Louis Dennis, who has experience in the EFL with the likes of Portsmouth, a former Watford youth team player. Dennis on the far side, the left here for Bromley. Back it goes to Best Topaloy. Topaloy rather fired that into the feet of his man Dennis again. Dennis in the left wing position can size up a high cross. Cheek far post. Passley's there as well. Passley couldn't get it under control, but he stumbled on the plastic pitch and it's bobbled underneath his legs. Out of play for a Blackpool throw in their left wing back position, and Passley, well, he didn't know where he was at all there, but he's thankfully back on his feet.
No, but I was surprised that he didn't actually attack the ball when it came into the box. It was a really good delivery. They worked it nicely, a triangle over on the left-hand side. They had a slight numerical advantage, worked it beautifully. Cheek and Passley round the far post. I think he just got underneath the ball and possibly lost his bearing in the 18-yard box before he toppled over on this near side. But another good half opportunity created by the home side.
Lots of young supporters here tonight with black and white Bromley scarves on. It's relatively chilly this evening. Here is Webster, the Bromley captain, midway inside his own half, sends it back to the goalkeeper. The television cameras are here as well. Cup fever has come to this part of southeast London. Halfway through the first half, Bromley 0, Blackpool 1. Shane Lavery with the early goal. The Northern Irishman with an excellent finish for the visitors. Here is Ellerou, tall centre half, bursting over halfway line. He's being tugged back surely there by Dembele. Referee says play on. Ellerou trying to get the return ball from Crowhouse. That never looked like it. Was a strange decision that from David Rock, I thought, Sam, not to pull it back for a free kick.
Yeah, well, he was stumbling, wasn't he, Ellerou, when he got the pass away. So, yeah, just a yard the wrong side of Crowhouse. Couldn't take it under his spell. Probably should have been brought back because there was no advantage there.
Well, the likes of Aldershot and Ramsgate of the third tier have proven that cup shocks in the first round are very much possible so far this season. Of course, Cray Valley and Charlton will meet in a A very special game for South London tomorrow, and we'll have coverage of that on the Sunday session over on TalkSport with Hugh Rosencroft underway at 1 o'clock tomorrow. TalkSport app, the best way to stay across all of the action. You won't miss a minute of football across both stations if you download the TalkSport app. Here is James Husband for Blackpool on the halfway line. Gets it back from Owen Dale. Husband square and then backwards to Ekpiteta. Ekpiteta, the tall defender at the middle of that back three. Gets it back from Husband again. Blackpool trying to slow the play down and check that Bromley momentum. Here's Andy Lyons on the far side, hugging that touchline in front of the Blackpool supporters who are huddled on the terrace. Gets it back from Dembele. Lyons in a crossing position, led with the edge of the 18-yard box. Beneath the floodlights, the glare of the floodlights. Here is Dougal for Blackpool. Bromley have got 9 men behind the ball at the moment, just the 2 up top. Bromley in white and black, and Blackpool in tangerine, playing from right to left. Here is Dougal, edge of the penalty area, inside left channel. Good run that from Lavery. Gets the dead ball line, he pulls it back. Nobody can get the vital touch. It was behind both Dembele and Kouassi. Eventually Lyons is in quickly to regain it off Topoloy. Chance for Conley to dart forward, and now Albie Morgan, edge of the box. Back to Dougal, and touched on by Dembele to the edge of the penalty area. Work back towards Morgan, and now Dale with a curling shot, just wide of the far post.
Nice effort, right behind it, just didn't quite get the curl on it. Again, Dembele's position, I think, in the build-up there, taking it on the half-turn. He's getting them up the pitch, getting them into the area, then they're being nice and intricate. Ends in a good shooting opportunity for Owen Dale on the left-hand side. But that's the problem. I think maybe the centre-half probably got to step out there and engage Dembele. At the moment, nobody's doing it. It's probably falling on Whiteley, who doesn't really want to be going back there. I think they're quite attack-minded, the 2 number 8s of Bromley, so that's still being problematic. Dembele getting on the half-turn, and he's so quick to get Blackpool into dangerous positions.
And here come Blackpool again with Lavery. It's touched on by Dougal cleverly to Kouassi. Nutmegs Webster. Was he fouled? Referee says no free kick. Kouassi expected the free kick to be given. The young frontman, Byron Webster, 36 years of age these days, with all of his experience, says get up, get on with it. And that, I think, was exactly the thought of the referee too. Bromley on the counter with Dennis. Only cheek the number 9 to Ebbert in the middle. Infield to Krauhaus. Back to Dennis. Right at it to the penalty area. Good ball into the box. And sliding in was Ekpiteta to make a crucial intervention. And he turns it away for a throw to Bromley, which they take quickly. Krauhaus, deep ball to the far post, and Topoloy from left wing back was up there, but it's floated over his head. It's gone out of play. It's a goal kick to Blackpool. Bromley 0, Blackpool 1 on TalkSport 2, and here's Sam Parkin.
Great defending in the end from Ekpiteta. They covered the areas well, but lovely from Bromley and Dennis in particular. That's what I anticipated seeing from him. The 3 centre-halves have got a bit of a problem because he's so spontaneous with his movement. He'll come short, he'll pull wide. Lovely weighted ball into him from Krauhaus, and almost perfect from Dennis trying to play it across the 6-yard box for a tap-in from Cheek. But Ekpiteta, not for the first time, really good defending, physical defender, stood up to the task really well to this point.
Still 0-0 at St James's Park in the Premier League. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. Long punt upfield from left to right from the Bromley goalkeeper Grant Smith. The flick in field with the header from Passley, but he can't find Cheek. And then there's a foul by Krauhaus on Dougal, and Blackpool have a free kick midway inside their own half the field. In the Premier League today, wins for both Manchester City and Manchester United, whose games were both live on the TalkSport network. For Brentford over West Ham, for Crystal Palace at Burnley, and a first win of the season for Sheffield United against Wolves. A 90+10 penalty from Ollie Norburn, giving them their first victory of the season. And it also finished Everton 1, Brighton 1 in the Championship. Ipswich in second spot scored 2 late goals to draw 2-2 at Birmingham. Wayne Rooney still looking for his first win since taking charge, and of course Leicester beaten by Leeds last night, live on TalkSport 2. Here come Blackpool with the lively Dembele, spinning away from his man and driving infield to the edge of the box. Dembele 1-2 with Kouassi. Dembele could be in here. He's rolled it in superbly. It's a super goal for Blackpool, and it's that man Karamoko Dembele, dancing feet inside the penalty area. 1-2 with Kouassi. Did he have the composure to beat the goalkeeper? You bet he did. Bromley 0, Blackpool 2.
Magnificent goal, brilliant goal. It's exactly what we've been talking about the last 10 minutes. Dembele's position, I think it's been so problematic for Bromley in this first half. Sam Woods is so central, he's the anchor, but he's not getting across to Dembele, and therefore it's the job, I think, of the outside centre-half or one of the advanced midfielders to come back and mark him. Nobody's in the vicinity there, 5 yards of space, gets turned, and then what comes next is just poetry. It's beautiful. The 1-2 with Kouassi, who's been really good as well, the opening 25 minutes, half an hour of this game. The 1-2, I'm thinking, is Dembele going to square it again for Kouassi to get up the open goal and to get himself on the score sheet? He's not having any of it. He just angles it in, side-footed, from a really difficult spot in the 18-yard box, a cute angle, but finds the space to get it into the corner. It's another sumptuous Blackpool goal.
The League One side now lead by 2-0, and Bromley of the National League have it all to do tonight here. No sign of nerves whatsoever from Blackpool. A very professional job done up to this point by Neil Critchley's team as we tick towards the half-hour mark. And a wonderful finish from Karamoko Dembele, who has had an interesting career so far. Has started at Celtic. He's on loan at Blackpool from Brest in France. But he was born in London, born in Lambeth, not too far from here. Here is Dougal for Blackpool midway inside the Bromley half. And a third Blackpool goal here would surely put this first round FA Cup tie to bed. Andy Woodman with his arms folded, the Bromley manager on the far side of the field, surely knows that, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to dig in now. It's a big 10 minutes or so to try and get their composure. They're not looking in too much trouble when Blackpool have had the ball in this kind of manner, in this kind of position on the pitch, when they've been deep set. But when the game has got stretched and been a little bit open, that front three of Blackpool have just been electric. They've been a class apart, haven't they? You've got to say, and sometimes that's the difference, isn't it? The forward players, I think, keeping cool in the pressurised situations, and Lavery and Dembele absolutely exquisitely taken goals. 43 league places between the two sides, and you're right, Sam, there's certainly a contrast in the style of play between the two clubs, and it's very quiet here now at Hayes Lane. Blackpool in comfortable possession, and those 300 Blackpool supporters who've made the trip are cheering with delight on the far side on that open terrace. Dembele out to the right, and Lyons back to the halfway line, and Connolly, you have to say from Neil Critchley's perspective, you really could not have wished for a better opening half an hour than this. 2-0 up Blackpool. No, both sides of the game as well. Spoke about Ekpateta's defending a few moments ago. He's been really good, as has the entire back three, but the front players, you know, so often going to be the difference makers. They've been electric, and it's been such a problem. Dembele in particular, Lavery opening exchanges. The last 10 minutes, Dembele's just run this game again here. Look at the space. He's between the lines, Dembele. He's floated it over the top towards Lavery. Good goalkeeping by Smith. Racing forward to claim, all in bright yellow, the goalkeeper, former young Brighton goalkeeper at the start of his career, Grant Smith. Lavery couldn't get to it. He was shepherded out of the way by Ellerou, and it's cleared by Smith high downfield, towering header away by Husband. The loose ball drops on the halfway line. They're having a conversation now, Joe, assistant and Andy Woodman on the far side, and they've got to change something. They've got to get a midfield player across there into that vicinity, or drop Whiteley, just to make sure that that ball is not on, because like I said a few moments ago, Woods has been absolutely killed with that pass to the kind of 10 yards to the side of him. He can't get across there. He needs someone in there alongside him, or one of his centre halves stepping out to engage. He can't come all the way sometimes, but I think there's been times when Ellerou certainly can come in and get in closer proximity with Dembele. He's running the game right now. Alan Dunn and Steve Harris are Andy Woodman's assistants on the far side of the field. On the opposite side, unusually, the dugouts to the main stand of the tunnel where the players emerged. 32 minutes gone, and it's Blackpool of League One who lead the team third in the National League by 2-0. A lot of work to do here for Bromley. No sign of an FA Cup shock as it stands. A lot of football this weekend, and all the reaction to it from Monday morning at 6 on TalkSport Breakfast. We have a stellar lineup of guests for you on Breakfast this week, including Glenn Hoddle, Stuart Broad, Peter Crouch and Emmanuel Adebayor. Les Ferdinand will be on Breakfast this week as well. Ali McCoy and Andy Townsend in the hot seat on Mondays and Tuesdays. Alan Brazil from Wednesday to Friday. And remember, Jeff Stelling is joining the TalkSport Breakfast team from early December. Free kick to Blackpool on the near side there left. Husband will leave it for Dougal. And what's really impressing me, Sam, about the Blackpool performance so far, not just the 2 goals they've scored, but the quality of the football that they're playing at times between the lines. Yeah, absolutely. And really attack-minded, isn't it? Trying to get it into those forward players, and then they're just expressing themselves. It's been a joy, actually, hasn't it, to watch some of the footwork, some of the passing sequences in the final third away to our left. And I think the centre forward, actually, Kouassi, has been really intelligent in his hold up, bringing the other two into play. He's looked the part, played one touch on quite a few occasions, and it doesn't work unless you've got that focal point. If the ball's been a little bit forced, you have to have someone down the middle that they can go into at times, and I think he's done the job well. 6
changes from the midweek draw at Fleetwood Blackpool, in which they conceded a 90th minute equaliser. They're on the attack again here with Lavery driving to the dead ball line. Deflected cross came off of Coley, hammered away by Webster as the rain starts teeming down now at Hayes Lane. We knew it would come at some point, and they'll be getting wet, the Blackpool fans on the far side. A couple of umbrellas going up, and that open terrace on the far side, I think. Certainly hoods being put on, and it's really come out of nothing, the inclement weather here, and everywhere around the stadium supporters are seeking shelter. There's not too much of that, I have to admit. Now it's got all the ingredients for a classic early season FA Cup tie.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if Andy Woodman, just get them in at 2-0 now. You know, just nothing stupid in the next 10 minutes. Get in at 2-0. There will come a stage in this game when Blackpool are under pressure. If they can just keep the deficit at 2, I'm sure there's still life in this. A third goal, the way that they're playing, in an attacking sense, it's probably game, set, match, isn't it? So the next goal, imperative. It doesn't have to come now, but need to get in at 2-0.
Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0 at half-time in the Premier League. Floated free kick by Crowhouse, high to the penalty area. Webster won the initial header, could come back towards Webster, and it's not wide in the end by Coley, who was forward. Well, maybe Bromley should have made more of that. So much aerial ability in the side. Webster won the initial header. Coley rather lashed at the loose ball just to the right of centre, and he couldn't get the effort on target. It went behind for a goal kick, and now the Bromley goalkeeper, Grant Smith, has gone down injured here, and this could be a big problem for Andy Woodman, the manager, a former goalkeeper himself. They do have a substitute goalkeeper to Bromley in the shape of the Chelsea loanee, the young goalkeeper Teddy Sharman Lowe. And while Smith is being treated, both managers take the opportunity to call their players over for some instructions and maybe some water on that far side of the field. The rain was a very brief shower. It's pretty much stopped entirely now. But Smith, well, he went down, Sam, and I'm not exactly sure what was the cause of that.
No, hopefully he's okay, because he's been in really good form for them. That was a good chance, actually. Coley on his left foot, I think that's his weaker side. It was Webster causing a nuisance in the 18-yard box. It dropped nicely for him, and he just snatched at it, and it just feebly went past the near post. But that has got to be one of them main avenues, I would suggest, Joe. In simplistic terms, there's a massive height advantage for Bromley here. They've got 3 enormous centre-halves. Sam Woods, the holding midfielder, I would hazard a guess, is probably 6'2", 6'3". Ekpateta is the only player probably standing over 6'1" in the Blackpool 11. So that's where they're going to get back into this game.
It's little against large, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. They've got some powerful boys. That's clearly got to be a tactic. Keep it at 2-0. I'd be astonished if Andy Woodman's main point in that little chat there wasn't to just get aggressive with Dembele, get close to him, stop him from receiving it on the half turn. I think, has Crowhouse actually come over to this side? He has, hasn't he? So the far side. So Crowhouse was playing on the right. He's gone left now. Maybe he's just going to try and cut off that supply. He's certainly looking over his shoulder now, trying to get closer to Dembele.
Smith, the goalkeeper, back on his feet. The game is back underway. I think it might have just been a touch of cramp for Smith. Blackpool lead by 2-0 at Bromley in the FA Cup first round. We've had 37 minutes of play. Blackpool on the attack right in front of us, the near side, with Husband plays it infield to Dougal. Bromley have got everybody bar Cheek behind the ball. They know they can't afford to concede a third, Andy Woodman's team. Morgan from long range, I think, thought about a shot. Plays it square instead to Connolly. A long line of Bromley supporters are walking at the front of the main stand, I think heading for the concourse areas ahead of half-time. Dembele gets no free kick on the far side of the field despite a robust challenge from Crowhouse, but then Dennis has given it away for Bromley. Blackpool back on the attack. Dembele corner the penalty area, plays it back to Kouassi on the edge of the box, a left-footed low shot that is deflected, and that took all the sting out of it, and it's gathered easily by Smith, and still just 2-0 to Blackpool. Hibs 1, Aberdeen 0 in the Scottish League Cup semi-final. That was a 5:15 start, so early stages of the second half there. Here is Whiteley with the red and black boots on for Bromley, a non-league veteran who has been at the club since 2020. It was he who set up the famous Michael Cheek winner in the FA Trophy final in 2022. Bromley, who are third in the National League this season. They finished 7th and were beaten in the playoff semi-finals last year. An excellent campaign again for Andy Woodman's team. The question is, of course, season by season, can they go that extra step and reach the English Football League for the first time? Here on the ball on the far side, the left, for Bromley is Topoloy, surging over halfway, and now possession's taken up by Crowhouse, who can't force it through the middle. Ekpiteta's there to roll it back to goalkeeper O'Donnell, who hasn't had a serious save to make in the game so far.
No, he's not, and that's where they'll want to improve. A couple of scary moments for Blackpool from set pieces. The one opportunity, wasn't it, for Whiteley on his right foot, just in front of the near post when he screwed it past the far post. But yeah, Blackpool have had numerous chances, haven't they, going the other way. Interesting that what we've been talking about, Crowhouse is now in the vicinity of Dembele. I would presume he's a better or a more defensively minded midfield player than Whiteley. Whiteley's come over to the right. Crowhouse is now playing up against Dembele. Has to have been mentioned in that last team talk, and it should have happened 15 minutes ago, Joe. If it's evident to us up here, it probably would have maybe stopped that second goal from going in.
Andy Woodman pacing up and down the touchline, his arms folded on the far side, the Bromley manager. Blackpool looking menacing as they go in search of a third goal, and the shot driven in by Lyons is deflected just wide. Neat 1-2 between Lyons and Lavery on the edge of the 18-yard box. Lyons on his left foot, low and hard, and it took a deflection, I think, off a Coley before bouncing behind for a Blackpool corner on the far side as we look at it, between the Cricket Club open terrace and the north stand away to our left.
Yeah, another effort from round about 22 yards. Have had numerous shots, haven't they? Not all of them onto Grant Smith's goal, but yeah, numerous opportunities for midfielders to step forward and take attempts.
It's going to be Dembele with the left-footed in-swinging corner, floated high, way over hit towards the far post, and this should be easy for Ellerou just to let it bounce out of play, which he does. Applause from the Bromley fans behind the goal. Well, maybe they'll be spurred on in the second half, Bromley, as they go in search of a comeback, attacking that end away to our left-hand side. I wonder if Andy Woodman has spoken much to Gareth Southgate in the build-up to this one, looking for some inspiration here at Bromley. And lots of inspiration locally, actually, around this stadium. There's a running track at the nearby Norman Park. That was where Dina Asher-Smith, the famous sprinter, used to train. And of course, TalkSport's very own Tony Cascarino is a Bromley resident as well. And Cass and Natalie Sawyer back on Weekend Sports Breakfast tomorrow morning from 6. TalkSport Breakfast from Monday morning at the same time, and then White and Jordan 10 till 1. And Simon and Jim will have John Obi Mikel and Kolo Torre among their guests on the show this week. The ball is bouncing down midway inside the Blackpool half. We're in the 42nd minute. Blackpool have won it back. They've been first to too many second balls, I think, for Andy Woodman's liking. Here comes Lavery, who scored the first goal. Left on edge of the penalty area, trying to dart away from a Coley. Across came Crowhouse to help out his teammate. They've got just enough black and white shirts behind the ball here for now, Bromley anyway. That said, Blackpool at times do look capable of playing through them. Dembele back to Connolly, midway inside the Bromley half. Connolly again, the number 2. And now Morgan, square ball to Dougal. Dougal unchallenged in the middle of midfield, really. On to Dembele. Dembele allowed to spin and turn 5 yards to the edge of the penalty area. Dougal pops it back to Morgan. Bromley not getting close enough here. Morgan is to the right of centre, about 10 yards from the edge of the box. Pings it crossfield to Dale. Dale controls on his right thigh and brings it down in front of the defender. Drives infield, does Dale, away from his opposite number, Passley. Dale lays it square in infield to Morgan, who thought about a shot. Morgan on to Dembele. Blackpool building here, they're 2-0 up. Here is Lyons, right-hand edge of the box, little 1-2 with Morgan. And in the end, the ball from Morgan is overhit, shepherded out of play by Topoloy. And there might be a problem here for Karamoko Dembele. He might need to receive some treatment, and on come the Blackpool physios. 2-0 Blackpool.
Yeah, I think he's maybe got a bang in the face. Referee quick to gesticulate to the physio to come onto the pitch. I mean, he's played like it's a Friday small-sided game, Dembele. I mean, I could say that for all the Blackpool attacking.
They've been excellent.
They look like they've really enjoyed it, and I thought the pitch was going to be a problem. It's been anything but, and him in particular. I mean, listened to something today on the way here and read some stuff on some Blackpool supporters and what have you. this morning, and sometimes you take the clamour for a player to be playing with a bit of a pinch of salt. The manager should know best, really, but there's been enormous clamour to get him into the side from the off. It's just been, sporadic displays from the bench, and he's really influenced things recently. But I can see it now. I can see why the supporters have been calling for him to get in from the off, because he's been amazing.
Well, Blackpool are pushing for the League One playoffs, so they've been inconsistent of late. They've scored plenty, but conceded too many, I think, for Neil Critchley's liking. That 3-3 draw at Fleetwood was preceded by a 4-2 defeat at home to Peterborough. They only just edged out struggling Cheltenham by 3-2. But it's a good footballing side, this Blackpool team, and of course Neil Critchley had an excellent first spell in charge, guiding the club to promotion in the Championship and then a season of survival thereafter, before leaving to work as Stephen Gerrard's assistant at Aston Villa in what was a relatively ill-fated spell. Dion Dublin is here for television tonight, and so too Michael Appleton, the Charlton manager, his side in FA Cup first round action tomorrow. Dembele left the field for treatment momentarily. He's just standing up on the far side of the field. Blackpool temporarily down to 10 very late in the first half. They've got the ball with Lavery. Last 30 seconds of normal time to go. Dembele's going to have to change his shirt here. Lavery led with the edge of the 18-yard box. Back it goes to Dale. Now Blackpool have been excellent in terms of keeping possession in the game so far. You have to credit the Seasiders. Here is Dougal, back to goalkeeper O'Donnell, had to rush forward to clear that, didn't have enough weight on the pass from Dougal. Fourth official's going to put that electronic board up into the air in just a moment. Morgan carrying the ball towards the halfway line. He sets up Kouassi. Was he fouled by Webster? Now that looked like a free kick. Referee says no. Bromley 2-0 down, and the National League club are on the attack. Infield it goes to Dennis, back out wide to Topoloy. Hangs up a high cross. O'Donnell should take that, and he does, the goalkeeper. Much too close to O'Donnell. And have they made a change here? Does it look like Blackpool on the far side? And Dembele, to me, looks like he's just come back on without a number on the back of his shirt. 5 minutes added on is what that number
was.
There
was definitely a 5, but there was definitely something else, wasn't there? I think he's made a meal of that, hasn't he? His one job.
Well, there was a I think there was a number 10 next to the number 5 as well. Anyway, thanks to our colleagues from Blackpool for helping us out with that one. Dembele is definitely still on the field, and there's no way Neil Critchley would want to take him off the way he's playing. Blackpool have been excellent tonight, and Dembele might get on a loose back header from Ellerue, but in the end it does trickle through to the goalkeeper Smith. A minute of the 5 added has been played here at Hayes Lane. Holds just over 5,000 or so. They've got decent average attendances in the National League this season, Bromley, but aside from a couple of fleeting spells, Sam Parkin, where they've created a couple of half chances, there's been very little really for the home crowd to get behind. And Michael Cheek, the big number 9, and you'll know what it's like playing the lone striker role, he's not been able to get into the game at all, really.
No, a couple of balls that have been flashed in. That last one from Topolai, just a little bit too heavy. He's been involved in a little bit of hold-up play early part of the game, but not had that opportunity that he would have prayed for in the lead up to this game. So yeah, they'll have to service him a little bit more. I'm confident they'll improve in the second half. It's a big team talk for Andy Woodman, but I mean,
they might as well give it a go now.
Yeah, we know that no two halves of football are the same, Joe.
Lavery edge of the D, right-footed shot, and it's deflected behind. Okoli came across, and so too did Sam Woods. It took a big deflection in the end before flying wide of the near post as we look at it. And Grant Smith, the goalkeeper's got to organise his Bromley back line here. Corner to Blackpool at the north end of the ground, that terrace behind the goal with a small roof. And there's a big bit of scaffolding right behind the middle of the goal where there's a camera for television. Across comes Albie Morgan to take the corner for Blackpool. Can they make it 3-0 just before half-time? That would be a perfect first half for them. Corner in swinging from Morgan, headed up into the air by Cheek, only half cleared by Krauhaus. Took a swing at it and missed his kick. The second ball goes high up into the dark evening sky. The header's won by Lyons for Blackpool, but Webster's across. Little shoulder barge between him and Kouassi. Good bit of old-fashioned defending from the skipper, and he's able to shepherd it behind for a goal kick. And still, the fireworks are going off in the distance. Unrelenting. And it's not even bonfire night yet.
It's got to be more than a fiver in over there, isn't it? It's top level firework display, that.
It's been going on for an hour or so. Clearance away by the goalkeeper Smith for Bromley. We've had 3 of the 5 added minutes in the first half. This in the first round of the FA Cup. We've got Norwich against Blackburn in the Championship live for you tomorrow on TalkSport 2. The Monday Night Football sees Maurizio Pochettino make his return to Tottenham as Chelsea manager on TalkSport. Tuesday night, Champions League and Championship for you. On TalkSport 2, we've got Dortmund against Newcastle, followed by Rotherham against Ipswich. And TalkSport will have commentary of Atletico Madrid against Celtic. And Thursday night, Toulouse against Liverpool. Before Thursday evening, in fact, Wednesday night, Copenhagen against Manchester United. So we're with Manchester United on commentary again on TalkSport away at Copenhagen in the Champions League. Lavery goes down, ball well won back fairly this time by Webster. At the middle of the three centre-halves, they scoop it forward to the feet of Dennis. Dennis held it up neatly, little back heel from Crowhouse towards the left, and Dennis and Whiteley was involved as well. Sam Woods trying to make a burst towards the corner flag, but Connolly was across and able to just get enough physicality in that challenge with Woods that he couldn't keep it in play. It's a goal kick to Blackpool away to our right, and there were 40 seconds of added time remaining in the first half, and lots of Bromley fans are heading for the concourse areas, or maybe that lovely restaurant and bar that we spent the pre-match in. Had the Bromley players walk past through the bar to cheers from the home fans. That was nice to see. They were very relaxed before the game. I'm not suggesting they were too relaxed, Sam Parkin, but I think there'll be a fair bit of disappointment from the home supporters going into the break.
Yeah, there will be, of course, because of the scoreline at the moment, but there's been some little spells in the game where they've done okay. I just think they've been too open, Joe, and I think we should commend Andy Woodman from trying to go toe-to-toe with Blackpool and playing open, but I just think in the midfield they've been far too open from the outset, and it's only latterly that's been remedied, really.
Good evening from Hayes Lane. This is Joe Shannon, the former Ipswich, Luton, Swindon and Wycombe striker. Sam Parkin alongside me for FA Cup first round action from South East London, and Bromley third in the National League. 2-0 down to League One side Blackpool here. Bromley as they aim to reach the second round of the FA Cup for the first time in 78 years. But the task that awaits them is a stern one for Andy Woodman's side in this second half, with driving wind and rain here now in the capital. Lots of people sheltering, lots of umbrellas have gone up into the air again. It'll be Blackpool playing from left to right towards the all-seater Glyn Beverley stand to get us off and underway for the second half on a plastic pitch at this tiny, compact little ground. Blackpool all in tangerine. They've made no changes, unsurprisingly. Bromley in black and white, playing from right to left towards the Norman Park end of the ground. But it's Blackpool on the attack straight away in the second half. It's with Lavery, who lays it left to Kouassi. Poor ball by Lavery. Kouassi forced towards the far side to left. The ball zipping along this wet surface. And now Albie Morgan midway inside the Bromley half. We're about 5 or 6 rows from the edge of the pitch here, live on TalkSport 2, and lots of Bromley fans returning to their seats. I think we're going to spend most of the early minutes of the second half standing up in a second. Sam Parkin alongside me, but it's Bromley and Andy Woodman who's reacted with a double change at half-time. James Vennings, a local lad, and Olufella Olomola, a former Arsenal Academy player, both onto the field. Woods and Dennis, 2 ball players really, have both gone off, and Bromley are going to go even more direct, it looks like, in this second half, with Blackpool leading 2-0.
Yeah, and possibly have a little bit more of a threat on the shoulder on the last line of defence as well through Olomola. Now you've got, a good hold-up player in Cheek and someone that can run beyond. Vennings looks like he's slotted in as the deep lying midfield player, so nothing's changed really in that regard. I would just suggest their starting positions need to be a little bit more compact, a little narrower, just to make sure those balls can't be played between the lines for obviously Dembele and Lavery.
The rain is really quite torrential here. Bromley have Smith in goal, Webster, Elleroux and Akoli the back three, Passley and Topaloy the wing backs, Vennings, Crowhouse and Whiteley in midfield, Olomola and Cheek are the 2 strikers, big burly strikers up front with lots of aerial ability, and Olomola is a good technical player as well. Blackpool unchanged for the second half, 2 goals to the good Neil Critchley's team. Blackpool the FA Cup winners in 1953. Goalkeeper is O'Donnell, and the defenders are Connolly, Ekpiteta and Husband to the left of the back three, as Bromley look to burst through the middle with Olomola, but the pass towards him is overhit. Lyons is the right wing back for Blackpool, Dale to the left, Dougal, Morgan in midfield, with Dembele's score of the second goal behind Lavery's score of the opener, and Kouassi up front. Andy Woodman, the Bromley manager, huddled inside his technical area with the white baseball cap on. He was the man who spoke of his love for the FA Cup on the weekend sports breakfast on TalkSport coming into the game today. 2.5 minutes into the second half, his side are 2-0 down to Blackpool, with it all to do. Here is Connolly for Blackpool. Near side there right onto Lyons, who plays reverse ball to the halfway line. Too much on that for Lavery. Webster's there to win it back. Have you noticed anything different about Bromley early in the second half, Sam Parkett?
No, not really in terms of the setup, apart from the more orthodox front two. Looks like the same configuration of the midfield players. Obviously can go a little bit longer, I would suggest, now that they've got two targets to hit down the middle, but no, nothing really changed at this point in the second half.
Here is Webster, midway inside his own half, the Bromley captain, very experienced man. At the heart of defence, the 36-year-old. Grant Smith, the goalkeeper in bright yellow, will hang it high and long up towards Cheek. His back header reaches the halfway line, cushioned away from goal, but Akoli's kept possession for Bromley. He's one of the centre-halves. Bromley, who've been brilliant so far this season in the National League, only one defeat in their last 17, and they've won their last 4 matches as well, including a 4th qualifying round victory over Wealdstone. Blackpool, who have been good of late themselves. Just 1 defeat in 7 in all competitions for Blackpool coming into tonight. Josh Pasley's got the ball for Bromley on the far side there, right. They're attacking the home end terrace that houses those ultras that you mentioned earlier, Sam Parkin, but Bromley unable to build up ahead of steam. Dembele wins it back for Blackpool midway inside his own half the field. Norwich against Blackburn in the Championship tomorrow on TalkSport 2 at the same time. All the goals as they go in with the Sunday session. Monday night, Tottenham against Chelsea on TalkSport. Tuesday night, the Champions League returns to the network, and we'll have commentary of Manchester United on Wednesday night as well. Toulouse against Liverpool on Thursday in the Europa League. Best way to be across all of the action, download the TalkSport app. That way you can swipe between both stations at your leisure. Bromley enjoying more possession so far in the second half, but unable to do anything with it as of yet. The flick by Cheek up the middle towards Olamola. Across comes Ekpiteta to sweep it high into the air towards that cricket club side terrace on the far side of the field, that open terrace, so they'll be getting very wet, the supporters on the far side. And Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0 is the latest score in the late kick-off in the Premier League, and Anthony Gordon has got that goal, and Arsenal are staring down the barrel of 2 defeats in 2 in their first league defeat of the season. Ellerou, long-range effort, punched away by the goalkeeper O'Donnell for Blackpool. Ellerou, the centre-half for Bromley, up from the back. He scored 2 in his last 2, hammered it from range, might as well do that on a slippery surface like this, but O'Donnell dealt with it well, and now Bromley win a free kick about 10 yards in front of our commentary position to the left of the halfway line, and maybe Bromley can start to build up a head of steam here, Sam Parkett.
Yeah, we were saying at half-time, Joe, that Blackpool have only been really performing for one half of football matches recently. They've scored guts of goals, and then they've been really off it in the second 45 or the opening 45, so Bromley can take hope from that, and they've certainly started this second half really well. They're working a diagonal into Cheek really well over on the right hand side, and he's winning his headers now.
Vennings with the right-footed free kick. It's poorly delivered. It was a looping right-footed delivery from the local boy born in Bexley in southeast London, started his career at Charlton Athletic, and he hoisted it in but got way too much height on it, and even Akoli, the giant defender, couldn't reach that at the far post, the Millwall loanee. And I think the main disappointment for Andy Woodman so far, Andy Woodman, who was part of the Crystal Palace backroom staff when they reached the FA Cup final in 2016, I think his main disappointment will be they haven't worked the goalkeeper enough in the game so far. 2-0 down to Blackpool.
Yeah, that and the space afforded to probably the Blackpool forward players. Yeah, I just noticed, the left-sided centre-half and Topola on the left-hand side just aiming diagonals towards Michael Cheek. He's pulling on James Husband, which would seem sensible, and also Owen Dale's probably the weakest in terms of the back five defensively, so you can push your wing back up there as well, and they're getting a little bit of joy from that one, certainly been able to keep it in the final third.
Bromley 0, Blackpool 2. Bromley only lost once at home all season so far, and that was in August. The newly arrived Olamola looks a lively presence up front with the orange boots and the gloves on. The ball's back to the halfway line, and Ellerou square to Webster. Back to Deji Ellerou, who's on loan from Charlton Athletic. He scampers away from Dembele, feeds the ball towards the centre circle, but it's intercepted by Lavery, retreating into a deeper position, the Blackpool forward. Now it's threaded up the inside left channel to Dale by Morgan. Dale inside the penalty area, right-footed drive, beaten away by the goalkeeper. Good stop that by Grant Smith, because of course even Bromley surely will know that a third Blackpool goal here will make the game safe and the tie safe for the League One team.
Yeah, it's really good play from Albie Morgan. He's been excellent, I think, so far tonight, stepping in to midfield there and playing the perfectly weighted pass for Dale. When he comes infield on his right foot, I think there possibly was a slight deflection on it, just taking the sting out of his drive, and Smith makes a fine save down to his right. But again, just when the ball's turned over around about the halfway line, Blackpool just burst into gear, so explosive, and that's where I'm sure Neil Critchley will feel, even if Bromley possessed the ball, Blackpool have got the ammunition to really hurt them on attack.
And don't let the Blackpool fans hear you confusing them with Blackburn, Sam Parkin. I've done it before. It happens to all of us. Here's Olamola on the halfway line, back to Ellerou, floats it up the inside left channel, high towards Whiteley. Whiteley being held there, surely back, Pitetta, and then Connolly went down, and Lyons rather, and Blackpool get the free kick in the end, which seemed a bit odd to me because it looked initially like a foul on Corey Whiteley.
Yeah, Pitetta, that's his game, isn't it? Getting close to players. And he's very aggressive there, possibly a little tug, but I think that's just probably the way he defends, and invariably he'll get the benefit of the doubt there.
Well, the rain has stopped, Sam, but the fireworks are still going up over the back of the terraced sides of the ground. In fact, there's terracing on 3 sides of this Hayes Lane ground, which has been refurbished very impressively over recent times. And Bromley still hoping that they can follow in the footsteps of the likes of Aldershot Town, who beat Swindon of League 2 7-4 earlier today. Ramsgate of the 8th tier beat Woking of the National League, and Scarborough, the 6th tier club, will take Forest Green Rovers to a replay. Lots of exciting FA Cup action tomorrow too, all covered on TalkSport Sunday session, underway from 1 with Hugh Wozencroft, including Cray Valley Wanderers against Charlton Athletic, and the Charlton boss Michael Appleton here tonight. They're going to make a change now, are Blackpool, and it looks like Kouassi is leaving the field. Well, that's an early substitution in the second half that Neil Critchley has made. And Jake Beasley, the former Rochdale man, is going to come on. What do you think the thinking is there, Sam?
Well, he's played quite a bit, hasn't he, Kouassi? Opportunity to give Beasley some minutes, who's a real good player at the level. Had a brilliant spell at Rochdale. There were a lot of teams in for him, and it's been a bit stop-start for him since then. So some vital minutes for a player that needs to probably get going again in his career.
Rochdale, who were relegated out of the English Football League at the end of last season. Bromley, who are hoping to join the English Football League maybe, if they can achieve promotion this year. Meanwhile, though, they're on the attack, looking to get a way back into this FA Cup first round tie. 2-0 down at home to Blackpool. Cross from Passley, headed away by Connolly. Oh, and Whiteley missed his kick on the edge of the box on the volley. It's come back to Ellerou. Wide to the near side now, and Topoloy. Topoloy looking to spin away from the tangerine shirt of Andy Lyons. Bromley in black and white, playing from right to left. Here is Vennings. Vennings hits the ball square to the halfway line, and Nicoli under pressure from Lavery, and Webster has to feed it back to the goalkeeper. A lot of pace in this Blackpool side. The same can't be said for the most part of their Bromley counterparts, and in the end a throw to Bromley just over halfway on the far side there, right in front of that open terrace where there are some makeshift television commentary positions. And the throw from Passley all the way back into his own half, where Webster is waiting to control possession. The Premier League today, wins for both Manchester City and Manchester United, both live on the TalkSport network. Brentford 3, West Ham 2, Burnley 0, Palace 2, Everton 1, Brighton 1, and Sheffield United, well done to Paul Heckingbottom, a first win of the Premier League season, 2-1 over Wolverhampton Wanderers. All of the reaction to the weekend's football on TalkSport Breakfast Monday morning from 6 a.m. Ali McCoist and Andy Townsend Mondays and Tuesdays, Alan Brazil Wednesday to Friday, Jeff Stelling joining our team from December. Some cracking guests on the show next week, including Glenn Hoddle, Stuart Broad and Peter Crouch. Here is Smith as the rain returns, a little lighter this time. Smith, the Bromley goalkeeper, just chips it very deliberately high towards Cheek, headed away by Husband, and I think Blackpool know the nature of the aerial threat they'll be facing in this second half. 12 minutes into the second half on TalkSport 2, and it's Bromley 0, Blackpool 2. Good turn on the far side, the right, by Crowhouse for Bromley, and he wins a throw after the challenge from Dougal, and Blackpool are going to make another change. There'll be 2 changes before the hour mark for Blackpool, and Neil Critchley maybe is concerned enough to make these substitutions, and Lavery, who scored the opening goal, is going off, and Sonny Carey, a man in fine goal scoring form, is coming on.
I'm sure it's just to take care of his players, but feels a little bit early,
premature
to me. Yeah, and like I said, they've only been playing in pockets, haven't they, really, Blackpool, over the last few weeks. They haven't been able to put that polished 90-minute performance together, and they have sat in here in this second half. I don't think it's my eyes deceiving me. I think they're deeper, they're really compact, their attacking plays becoming a little bit more infrequent.
Beasley trying to break over the halfway line. He was fouled by a sliding Whiteley. That might be the first yellow card of this first round FA Cup tie. Yellow card indeed for Whiteley. Blackpool lead by 2-0 as we tick towards the hour mark in the game now, and despite more possession for Bromley, maybe they don't necessarily look any more of a goal threat than they did in the first half.
I think they've just taken out those first couple of passes, haven't they, where maybe Blackpool were nicking the ball quite high up and just to a devastating effect, really creating chance after chance. So by going a little bit longer into Cheek, they've just taken that risk out of the play where they could overturn the ball in dangerous areas, been a bit more direct, and they are actually keeping it in the final third to a degree. Cheek's winning the majority of his headers. It's just about whether they can get on the second balls and then conjure something with a little bit of creativity. To this point, the answer, unfortunately, for Bromley is no.
And Beasley's brought the ball down neatly on the halfway line, the substitute, and it could fall for Dembele inside the centre circle. He pokes it on towards Carey. Half tackle from Ellerou. Sharper on the return was Beasley. Back now to Carey inside the penalty area. Oh, and he was shrugged aside at the vital moment by Topoloy. That looked a fair challenge at first viewing. Carey was sandwiched in between 2 black and white shirts, and now Bromley are on the counter with Crowhouse. Options left and right. To the right is Passley, level the edge of the penalty area, deflected cross, loops up into the air. Michael Cheek flicks it into the 6-yard box, but it's gathered by Richard O'Donnell. Bromley 0, Blackpool 2 on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, Pateta just made a mess of his challenge in the middle of the pitch for the first time, probably. Ball broke nicely, for Bromley midfield player. Crowhouse driving forward, and then Passley just had a good sight at the 18-yard box, really good amount of space on the far side, just had to conjure a better delivery than they hit the first man, and then it was Michael Cheek just going up at the near post trying to flick it back into a dangerous area, but the chance was gone really with a poor delivery from Passley on the right.
More live football than anybody else on the TalkSport network. More than 450 live matches across the course of the campaign on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. We are home of the FA Cup. We love the FA Cup. From the very early stages, the first few rounds early in the season, all the way through to the final. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 in the Premier League. And Aberdeen lead Hibs in the Scottish League Cup semi-finals. Aberdeen are down to 10 men, but they lead Hibs by 1-0 into stoppage time. Header away by Connolly, midway inside his own half for Blackpool. And shepherded forward now to the feet of Dembele. Dembele loses possession, converged upon by both Ellerou and Veddings. And they're going about the game, at least Bromley, with an intensity that you might have expected to see in the first half. It's taken them over an hour, really, to get themselves in a position where it feels like they're the team more in control of the possession, Sam Parkett.
It just feels like they've, I wouldn't say declared Blackpool, but they've sat in now that the game's won, isn't it? And I think it's a risky tactic. Bromley are in control of the ball. They're unable to work too much in terms of opportunities on O'Donnell's goal, but it feels like we've got a game now, and this really would leave egg on Neil Critchley's face if they were to get one back and make it into a grandstand finish, because they were so impressive in the first half, cutting Bromley open at absolute will.
Well, he's taken a gamble as Neil Critchley, taken off his front two, and he's really frustrated. You can see the Blackpool boss on the far side of the field, because Bromley have won yet another second ball. 62 minutes, 2-0 down Bromley, but here's Olamola, wrestled to the ground by Ekpiteta. Oh, that had to be a penalty. Olamola then fouls Morgan, and I think it might have been the honesty of the Bromley striker that almost let him down there. He's pulled his shirt over his face. He was certainly being held by Ekpiteta. He could have gone down. He stayed on his feet, and maybe that was enough to keep the referee David Rock from awarding a penalty, and in the end it's a free kick to Blackpool, who still lead 2-0.
I think outside the box, free kick, definitely. It's difficult to tell from here whether Ekpiteta just pulls out at the last minute. It looks like Olamola, despite the tug, is goal side, and there's going to be a collision as well. He's left his feet, Ekpiteta. Whether he just withdraws the challenge at the last minute, I don't know, but I think there was probably enough in the initial infringement, which was a tug of the shirt, to be given as a penalty. Not a massive appeal though, that always sometimes tells you. Not a huge appeal from the players.
That's the former Chelsea striker Sam Parkin. Chelsea in action against Tottenham. Maurizio Pochettino has returned to North London on the Monday Night Football on TalkSport. Still raining here in South East London. Bromley 0 and Blackpool 2 is the score on TalkSport 2. 18 minutes into the second half, but this game is not done yet. Bromley have come to the party now. It's with Morgan for Blackpool. Chips it forward from the edge of the centre circle. It's caressed onto his chest by Carey, who glides forward over the halfway line. Very neat, silky work from Carey. And then he should have had a free kick after that tackle back from Cheek. And the referee decides to give a throw to Bromley instead. I think that's, we've got the benefit here in our commentary position. We've got a little monitor that we can look at and see the replays again. And having looked at it again, confirms what I thought in the first instance, Sam Parkin. Ekpiteta's got his arms all around Olamola. That should be a penalty.
Yeah, he's given him the benefit of the doubt, hasn't he? Because initially there's been a little tag there, and like I said, once he's goal side of him, he's just refrained from going in for the challenge. So I think the referee's allowed him to have that little initial tug, and maybe felt that's part and parcel of when the ball gets played into a front man. Definitely debatable, and the one in the first half. So two reasonable shouts, but I think probably just about right for both teams.
Then belly edge of the box through to Carey. Carey left on the edge of the penalty area, had to check his run away from Passley. Back it goes now to Dale. Rain getting heavier and heavier now. We're packed in among Bromley supporters and officials in the main stand, the John Fiorini stand, which sits on the halfway line, and it's got terracing either side. Here is Connolly, lip of the centre circle now for Blackpool. Harry Kane on the score sheet tonight, by the way, for Bayern Munich, who are winning 3-0 at Thomas Tuchel's former club Borussia Dortmund. Yet another goal for Harry Kane, and that after Bayern Munich had that shock, a cup exit in Germany at Saarbrücken of the third tier in German football earlier in the week, and that was a remarkable German cup shock. Back it goes to O'Donnell, the Blackpool goalkeeper. Still the fireworks continue away in the distance. Hoisted long downfield by Connolly up into the dark night sky, but Beasley's beaten to it by Webster, who sends it back to the goalkeeper. 20 minutes played in the second half. Now he's thinking about another change, I think, Andy Woodman here, possibly, the Bromley manager, as they go long up towards Cheek again. Loose ball is headed away by Connolly. It's dropped into the centre circle for Vennings. Vennings square to his right, and a Coley. On to Passley now. The one thing that Bromley haven't really been able to do is create a clear-cut chance in the game yet, Sam.
No, probably the Whiteley chance, the strike that just crept beyond the far post about half an hour in. That's probably the best they've mustered. A couple of half chances for centre-halves as well from dead balls in the second period, despite commanding the majority of the possession and territorially asking more questions of Blackpool, not able to prise them open. They've just wrestled control back, I would say, Blackpool, the last 5 minutes.
Cheek has held it up neatly though on the edge of the penalty area. Great feet by Olamola, pulls it across, cleared away by Ekpiteta. It's come out to Whiteley, edge of the box, curls it. Oh, it was blocked by his own man Cheek. I think Cheek got in the way of that as it was going towards goal. We were right behind it, and the referee's given a free kick for a foul inside the penalty area, I think on Dale. Yes, he's the man down, the Blackpool number 7. Well, that was goal bound from Whiteley, and I think inadvertently there, Michael Cheek got in the way.
Yeah, it's not going to go in though from Whiteley. He doesn't get enough pace on it, so I think Cheek's just trying to divert it, and I think that's the right decision from the centre forward. He's kind of in line with the strike. He's just kind of that what if scenario, and I think he's well within his rights to try and divert that past the goalkeeper. Unfortunately, he either just cannoned off him or he wasn't able to get any contact on it at all. But better, Whiteley should have done better with the initial strike. Certainly it was a nice angle to try and bend one, and a Lavery in the first half towards the far post.
That's Sam Parkin, who has scored some famous goals in the FA Cup before for Wickham in 2001 in their run to the semi-finals. Here's Topoloy for Bromley. Round 1 and 2-0 down at home to Blackpool as we head towards the final quarter of the game. Olamola's looked lively since coming on. Good feet down the near side, the left. He's led with the edge of the penalty area, faced up by two in the tangerine colours of Blackpool. Vennings, pink boots on, gets away from Dembele. Now Olomola plays it back to the near side of the field. Here's Topoloy, little touch, looked like handball against Lyons. It was right next to him. Lyons hooks it away over the halfway line. Appeals from the Bromley fans all around us. I think the referee probably got that one right, because it bounced at him and there was nothing he could do from that sort of range. And David Rock, the referee, has certainly not been overwrought by the occasion and the noise of the home fans. We are 23 minutes into the second half now. Much tighter in this second half. Ellerou edge of the box to Olomola. Olomola goes for goal right-footed, blocked by Ekpiteta. Again, as Sam Parkin mentioned, that shot had no power behind it either. Olomola again on the edge of the penalty area. Back it goes to Vennings. Blackpool defending very deep and in numbers in this second half now, and that must be the instruction of Neil Critchley, although he's out of his seat in the dugout, urging his team to just push forward a little more and not defend as deep as they've been doing, but a distinct change in the way that Blackpool want to play in this second half. They're sitting and they're trying to hit Bromley on the counter.
Yeah, they're not getting after the ball nearly as much.
Chip forward by Webster. Crowhouse plucked that out of the air neatly with his back to goal. Olomola with a sweeping left-footed shot, and it swerves 5 or 6 yards over the bar.
Looked nice, didn't it? Just a little bit too much elevation. It's the perfect direction almost, if you like. Just a little bit too high. Difficult skill to execute. Kind of coming across it with your left side. Nearly from the substitute.
I don't think more like it from Bromley.
Just to say, I don't think the Blackpool are doing anything different with the ball in terms of their setup. They're certainly deeper without the ball, but I just think, as we've touched on throughout the first half, maybe Dembele in particular, his race has run a little bit. I don't think he looks as energetic clearly as he was before the break, and they're not doing anything different to counteract his threat. I just don't think his movement's as sharp, and he's not as willing to get on the ball, probably because he's fatigued.
Blackpool goalkeeper Richard O'Donnell has not really had a save to make in the game. Aberdeen have won at Hibs by a goal to nil in the Scottish League Cup semi-final. So Aberdeen, who finished the game with 10 men, through to the Scottish League Cup final. And still Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 in the Premier League. Late stages at St James's Park. And here in the 5:45 kick-off on TalkSport 2, Bromley 0, Blackpool 2 it remains. And Bromley have got 20 minutes plus stoppage time to go. You can hear the crackle of fireworks in the distance again. Here come Bromley with Cheek, right wing position. He's got two in the middle, high ball to the far post, and it's gathered easily by O'Donnell. Way too close to the goalkeeper from Cheek. And well, there are 43 league places between the two clubs, and it has looked like that for most of the night so far anyway.
Yeah, tired effort, wasn't it, from Cheek over on the right hand side. You want him in the box trying to attack those. Pasley with a really good bit of determined play getting to the second ball, but once more the delivery from the right hand side severely lacking in quality.
Webster's got the ball for Bromley, the centre half, into his own box, and then it's hammered long by the goalkeeper Smith. Bounces deep inside the Blackpool half, but Dale will let it go out to play for a throw in front of the Blackpool fans on one side of the ground. Pasley's coming off here for Bromley. And Todd Miller, formerly of Brighton and Hove Albion, will come onto the field. We've got the club secretary and public address announcer right behind us. They kindly joined us pre-match on TalkSport 2. And I mentioned the community feel about the club, and there was a good atmosphere in the bars and the restaurants at half-time at Hayes Lane, despite the scoreline. And Bromley with less than 20 minutes remaining now. 2-0 down at home to Blackpool, and it's the FA Cup dream going to be over for another year for them. Another crackle and bang of fireworks in the distance. Here is Ellerou for Bromley. Out to the near side, and Topoloy. Back in field now to Whiteley. They've had a lot more of the ball in the second half, Bromley, but they haven't managed to really carve out anything with it just yet. Here is Ellerou in the left wing position. Nudges it backwards to Topoloy, the Kosovan. Topoloy looks up, pumps the ball forward. Olomola far post, headed away by Husband before it could reach it. And the substitute, Todd Miller with the long hair who's just come on, is there to poke it back into the path of Crowhouse. Building here, Bromley. Vennings, square to Ellerou. They're playing some better football actually, Bromley, at the moment. Topoloy taking on the defender Lyons, crosses in brilliantly, and it's turned wide by Olomola. That was the chance they wanted. Topoloy's ball right across the edge of the 6-yard box, asking to be touched home, and Olamola came in and could only steer it wide of goal. 2-0 to Blackpool.
And it's an amazing cross. It's sensational. Topolo on this left-hand side. Lyons thinks he's got him exactly where he wants him, and it's just the surprise element that does for the Blackpool wing-back, but also the two centre-forwards in Bromley colours, because they don't anticipate that coming in. It's right across the 6-yard box. It's venomous the way it's struck. Olamola at the far post does get something on the ball, but I think the quickness of that delivery from the left-hand side just took both centre-forwards by surprise.
Well, the Blackpool goalkeeper O'Donnell's just been given a yellow card for time wasting. We've got 17 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Bromley, well, there's hope of a replay, of course, if they were to come from 2 down. Whip ball in by Whiteley towards Cheek. Up go the heads, only as far as Ellerou. His shot is blocked brilliantly by Ekpiteta. 2 golden chances in quick succession for Bromley. This time, though, the defending from Ekpiteta was excellent. And Carey's on the break for Blackpool. Long ball up the middle towards Beasley. Ellerou is now back at the other end to defend. And he feeds Topoloy in the left wing-back position. Bromley should get it clear. Topoloy, though, has managed to win a throw on the near side there left. Well, it's much better from Bromley now, Sam Parkin, but is it too little too late?
Yeah, getting better quality in, but also loading that far post. I think that's definitely been a tactic from deep, and when they're in advanced positions as well, try and get Cheek on the diagonal there, keeps it alive. And as you said, Ellerou with a good opportunity. I think it was blocked at source in the end, but that's probably as good as they've been able to conjure in terms of balls delivered in.
Here is Topoloy again, hugging that near side touchline, then driving infield and finding Crowhouse. They're moving the ball quicker, Bromley now. 2-0 down at home to Blackpool. Olamola's deep cross to the far post. Cheek trying to get underneath it, heads it back, and it's poked wide on the slide by the on-rushing James Vennings. That's a corner to Bromley, and this is as loud as Hayes Lane has been all evening. If Bromley can get a goal here, it'll be a frantic finish on TalkSport 2.
Cheek again just keeping it alive, Joe, and they've got a numerical advantage every time when the ball comes in Blackpool, but Whiteley is quick to react there to the second ball, make something of nothing and get the corner kick, and there's some pressure building now.
The corner will be taken by Crowhouse, floating it in high, left-footed. Ellerou is underneath it, heads it wide, and for a player who scored 2 in 2, he maybe should have done better. This is much more like it from Andy Woodman's Bromley, and this was the threat that Blackpool feared they might face in the game. Quarter of an hour to go. The Seasiders lead 2-0, but the tide has turned a bit in terms of the pattern of play.
Yeah, good quality all of a sudden from the balls in and the dead balls. I thought it would be a bit of a problem missing the Preston Loney Lee, who's been playing in the midfield and creating a lot of chances for them from dead balls, but Crowhouse has got an equally good left foot, and we just saw that there, flighted him beautifully, just a fraction too high for Ellerou to be able to steer the header goalwards, but much better. And this is the spell I was anticipating, really. Can they take advantage, get the goal to make it a nervy finish for Blackpool?
Well, just as Bromley are finishing the game well, so the fireworks have got even more exciting at the back of the Glyn Beverley stand in the nearby park. Lots of gold flickers of light in the distance. Flicked by Cheek for Bromley. Into the feet of Crowhouse, back to Vennings. 40 yards from goal dead centre. Chips it just to his left and Ellerou. 14 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Bromley 2-0 down. Can the National League side get back in it against their League One opponents? The chip by Vennings to the right and Miller. First time cross, it's bouncing. Gathered by O'Donnell inside the 6-yard box before Ellerou could come in and meet it.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst. Vennings has actually got them playing in there, hasn't he? He's got on the ball, looks nice and confident, spraying it about. Probably not what Woods was able to do in the first half. I don't know if that's because of Blackpool's set up in the second period, the lack of intensity getting after the deep line midfielder, but Vennings has certainly picked up the speed of the game and looked nice and composed in there.
Harry Kane's got another goal for Bayern Munich away at Borussia Dortmund. They're 4-0 up now, and they're into 8 minutes of added time at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Here is Todd Miller bursting down the right, the former Brighton man. Then he plays the ball in field for Bromley. It's all Bromley at the moment in terms of possession. Whiteley, middle of the Blackpool half. Blackpool sitting deep and chasing shadows at times. Can Bromley create that chance that they need? Early ball into the boxes, blocked off by Ekpiteta, who got in front of Olamola. Then that's a poor ball forward by Carey. And fingers being pointed by some of the Blackpool players here. And Blackpool are leading 2-0. And they have 13 minutes plus stoppage time to see out, but they have been flat and much poorer in this second half, unexpectedly so. Here's Ellerou on the halfway line. Square ball to Okoli. Okoli out to the right, and Miller taps it forward now to Crowhouse. He's been excellent in the game. Onto that favoured left foot, middle of the Blackpool half. Scampers away from one in Tangerine. Onto Cheek. Olamola back to Cheek. Angle tight. Shot is blocked. Corner to Bromley again. At that north end terrace behind the goal. That's where the hardcore fans are. And they're trying to suck the ball into the net at the moment, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, Miller's made a difference on the right-hand side. His composure on the ball, that was all Cheek's work there as well, though. Little give and go, running into the space. I just wondered if he had it in his armoury to chop infield and allow Ekpateta to go to ground to give him a clearer sight of goal on his left foot.
12 to go, floated in by Crowhouse. Okoli climbing over his head. It's come to Webster, the captain, at the back post, blocked off by a sea of Blackpool defenders. Webster's done brilliantly. He steered it wide, but the flag is up against Crowhouse, who is in an offside position. Free kick to Blackpool, who can waste away a few seconds, although O'Donnell's got to be careful on a yellow card for time wasting. Just gets a word from the referee.
That's brilliant from Webster. Such a shame. Didn't really know where to go there, and then he conjured the perfect pass out to the right flank. Crowhouse should never be offside there. They're loaded in the box. Perfect situation for him to put some quality in on his left side, but lazy to get out and get back onside.
Plenty of live FA Cup football on the TalkSport network this season. Here's Dembele, right-hand edge of the penalty area. Again, those tricky feet as he looks to get away from the defender. Back it goes to Lyons, corner of the 18-yard box. Hardly seen any attacks of note in the second half at the Glyn Beverley end of the stadium away to our right. It's been all Bromley, albeit Bromley haven't created the golden chances really that Andy Woodman would have hoped they'd create. 11 minutes plus stoppage time left. Norwich against Blackburn tomorrow lunchtime on TalkSport 2 in the Championship. Tottenham against Chelsea, Monday Night Football on TalkSport. Long from Webster, high on the diagonal towards Miller. Good header away that by Dale for Blackpool. And now it's a throw on the far side, the halfway line for Bromley. Blackpool want to make a double change. They'll do that shortly, but they won't be able to make it just yet. Bromley have got the ball and have restarted play very quickly from the throw. Long it goes from goalkeeper Smith, high up into opposition territory. Cheek flicks it on again. Olamola has fouled the retreating Dougal in pursuit of the second ball. Free kick, and Dale is going to come off now for Blackpool. Dominic Thompson, formerly of Arsenal and Brentford, is his replacement. And what's the other change for Blackpool on the far side where the dugouts are here? Applause from the Blackpool fans. A few hundred have made the trip. And it's the number 11, Dembele, scorer of a fine second goal, who comes off. Tashan Oakley-Booth, a former Tottenham youngster, is his replacement. Well, what about Karamoko Dembele? I know he's a player you admire a lot, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, brilliant tonight. For 45 minutes, we've hardly seen him in the second half. He's been booked there as well for the amount of time he's taken to get off. But so probably an example of exactly why Neil Critchley's just been holding him back. Clearly all the talent in the world, but he doesn't look like he's up to playing 90 minutes at the moment. So that's something they're going to have to try and rectify in the weeks ahead. If they can do that, got some player on their hands, because that was exquisite in the first half. Best player by a distance.
9 minutes plus stoppage time left. Blackpool lead 2-0. A long clearance from O'Donnell from the free kick, and a foul straight away by Beasley. And Bromley free kick, and they go back to goalkeeper Smith. It would be a rare defeat for Bromley this season, but another defeat in the first round of the FA Cup. They just can't seem to make it through to round two. Remember the last time they did that, the 1945-1946 season. Long ball from Smith again, flicked by Cheek down the middle. Miller's herring after it, hacked away by Dominic Thompson. The first touch for the newly arrived substitute. He's gone straight into the left wing back position, a more defensive option. Cheek has prodded it into the penalty area towards Olamola. Ekpateta only half away. It comes back to Cheek, nudges it to the right, and Miller dead ball line, tries to flick in the cross. He wins the corner again. Well, all credit to Bromley, pushing right to the end, but it won't mean anything if they don't get the 2 goals they need to at least force a replay.
Looked like a really good change, hasn't he, Miller? He's probably not as dynamic as Passley that was there before, but he looks to have a bit more culture on the ball, a bit more craft. He's certainly added something down the right hand side.
Krauhaus with the corner, floated in high, left-footed in, swinging. Okoli back post, he's spun off the top of his head and it's gone away from goal, but he's kept it in on the dead ball line. Back to Topoloy. Topoloy hangs up across. Cheek far post. Oh, he's knocked it over the top. A clumsy volley with his right foot over the crossbar. And the half chances have arrived in the second half for Bromley, but they haven't been able to do enough with them.
The movement's perfect. I'm so surprised that Cheek doesn't just cushion that on his right foot and smash it back towards the far corner. Brilliant position. I think he's tried to cushion that square along the 6-yard box to a teammate. So difficult to execute. I'm really surprised that someone with such a great goal scoring record hasn't taken it under his spell and got his strike away.
Newcastle have beaten Tottenham have beaten Arsenal by a goal to nil in the Premier League. So Arsenal lose for the first time this season. I make it Tottenham the only side still unbeaten in the Premier League this year. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 is a full-time score. Here is an opportunity for Oakley Booth down the Blackpool right, trying to smuggle a cross in from the near side touchline, and I think the ball's going out of play for a Bromley throw. We actually can't see because there are Bromley fans on their feet in the main stand, and in fact it's a Blackpool throw by the corner flag, and Andy Lyons will come forward to take it. Some of the Bromley fans heading out into the evening now. A pretty cold and wet and dreary evening, you have to say, late in the second period. We've only got 6.5 minutes of normal time remaining. They've given it a good go in the second half, Bromley, but it's probably not going to be enough. Here's Okoli, out of his own penalty area, back to Webster. I guess the goal, of course, Sam Parkin, for Bromley is to do what they've never been able to do and reach the English Football League. That's what the potential of the club says that they can do, but we all know how competitive the National League is.
Yeah. Had a couple of good goes here, haven't they? I think they lost quarter-finals and semi-finals of the playoffs in the last 3 or 4 years by the odd goal, so it'll come for them, I'm sure.
And 9 points off the leaders Chesterfield at the moment, and it may be relatively, well, not early days in the National League season, but of course a long way still to go, but it's hard to see them leapfrogging Chesterfield at this point, so maybe the playoffs again, maybe third time lucky for Andy Woodman and co. Here is Connolly for Blackpool, who lead 2-0 and are heading into the second round of the FA Cup. Just over 5 minutes left. It's with Husband on the halfway line. Husband chips the ball up the left-hand channel. Went a bit longer in the second half at times, Blackpool. Headed away by Okoli. And, well, if it stays 2-0, then I guess you give credit to Neil Critchley, Sam, because he'll have got the tie done and he'll have taken, he'll have given minutes to players who needed them, but also protected players who maybe need a rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I'm sure there'll still be a little bit of criticism. I think there always is, but they have definitely sat in the second half. I don't think it's a fitness thing. I think it was tactical, just to stay a little bit deeper, be a little bit more compact, don't flood forward on all occasions to close down like they did in the first half. So invariably they'll want to have the same intensity from first half to second half. Whether that's unrealistic, I'm not so sure, but had Bromley scored early part of this second half, it could have gone horribly wrong. But yeah, I think the most important thing would have been getting a rest into Lavery, not taking too much of a risk with Dembele. Obviously Rhodes we've not seen tonight, so imperative to give him a little bit of a rest given how well he's been performing and how many goals he's been getting. So yeah, to leave her at 2-0 given how difficult a proposition this was, excellent night for them so far.
Well, the reaction to the weekend's football on our excellent daytime lineup on TalkSport from Monday morning 10 till 1. White and Jordan are back. Simon and Jim next week will be joined by the likes of Colo Torre and John Obi Mikel, and you can download the Outspoken White and Jordan podcast every weekday once the show's done. Forward by Lyons for Blackpool, he's knocked it straight out of play. Safety first. We've now had 86 minutes. Neil Critchley, I think, very irritated by his side's performance in this second half. At least he is a long way from us. He's on the opposite side of the pitch, but that's what the body language would tell you at times, even though they're 2-0 up. Here on TalkSport 2, ball out to the right-hand side, and Miller taking on the defender Thompson. Back it goes to Krauhaus. Good ball up the outside right channel to find Olamola. Olamola, the lively substitute, heading for the dead ball line. Back to Miller. First time cross is blocked. They want handball, nothing given. And Miller then wins the corner at the second attempt off Thompson. Well, now or never really for Bromley here, isn't it, Sam? If they're to get a replay out of this, They've got to get a goal back at least here.
Yeah, the dead balls have realistically their most likely chance of getting themselves the goal, especially when it's been driven in this second half for the three centre-halves. They're all just getting together, edge of the 18-yard box here. The 4v3 actually momentarily.
Crowhouse swinging that in, left-footed to Coley! Saved by the goalkeeper! Oh, and the rebound is smashed wide! It's just not going to be Bromley's night. Michael Cheek, less than 6 yards out. It's an open goal, and he's stuck it wide. And that surely is that for Bromley in the first round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, if the quality's been there, you'd always back one of those centre-halves to be able to get their head to the ball, and that's a brilliant save down to his left from O'Donnell. But what he does, push it into the 6-yard box where there's 3 white shirts, I would say. Cheek, little surprised he's gone to spank that. I think he can just caress that. Right foot, side foot into the corner there. He's absolutely gone to smash it into the rigging. And again, a player of...
He's got an open goal.
Yeah, his quality in front of goal. Surprised that he's opted to try and take the net off.
He's got to score that, but he hasn't. It's still 2-0 to Blackpool. 90 seconds left. You just wonder, Sam, had the game taken on this sort of pattern in the first half, we might have seen a very different result in this cup tie.
Yeah, and we're going to see, I would imagine, a considerable amount of stoppage time, maybe not to the levels that we have seen this season, but there'll be 3 or 4 minutes added on, I would suspect. So to get a goal there with still 2 minutes of normal time to remain would have given them a fighting chance. That's a big miss.
Here's Webster, just shy of halfway for Bromley. On now to the feet of Vennings. Vennings, the deepest lying central midfielder for Bromley, steers the ball to the near side, and Whiteley, who's only a few feet in front of our commentary position. Nice and close to the field of play here at Hayes Lane. Forward by Ellerue, high on the diagonal. Miller's herring after it. It's going to go out of play. Before Miller can keep it in, the ball took a big bounce. Goal kick to Blackpool, last minute of normal time in the game. Newcastle have beaten Arsenal by a goal to nil in the Premier League. After wins for Manchester United, Manchester City, Brentford, Crystal Palace and Sheffield United earlier. Everton 1, Brighton 1 a final score in the Championship. Ipswich in second spot, came from 2-0 down to draw at Birmingham, so Wayne Rooney still looking for his first win at Birmingham. After the Friday night football in which Leeds ended Leicester's long winning run. And in the FA Cup earlier, congratulations to Aldershot and in particular to Ramsgate of the 8th tier of English football, who've come up with the cup shocks, the most notable cup shocks of the day. Bromley are surely not going to join them. Harry Kane has got a hat-trick tonight for Bayern Munich in their win over Borussia Dortmund. And that's poked down the left for Blackpool to Carey. Carey's in the box, can he cut it back across? He's wriggled all the way through here. Last ditch challenge from Macaulay. Blackpool corner. We've got 4 added minutes here at Hayes Lane. Blackpool 2-0 up.
Interesting to see how many times Blackpool have had it in the Bromley box in this second half. I mean, that's one of the first times they've been able to get in there and have any kind of meaningful touches. Beasley's had a real tough task actually to get any change out of those 3 centre-halves. He's just been running around desperately up against 3 centre-halves, trying to get hold of the ball, get his team up the pitch. Thankless task for him, able to link it there, carrying infield on the left-hand side, just breaking into the box. I think it was a good challenge, as you said, from Macaulay, just getting a toe on the ball, but shows you, yeah, they've really sat in, haven't they, in this second half and not shown anywhere near the level of intent they did before the break.
Is that because they were anticipating a Bromley fight back? That Blackpool corner's come to nothing, by the way. They didn't have anybody in the 18-yard box, but it looks like they are going to do enough to win. Thompson will take a throw down by the corner flag. Just over a minute of the added 4 has been played, and can Blackpool produce a cross deep inside Bromley territory? It's going to be smuggled away and behind, no, not quite behind by Macaulay, had to keep it in play. Clears away only as far as Dougal. Midway inside the Bromley half, taken up by Albie Morgan. All of their good football in the first half, Blackpool. It's been a much more robust and defensive display in the second. High ball and the flick by Beasley. Out to Carey. Corner of the penalty area. Might go for goal here. Lovely feet. Away from Macaulay. Comes through to Beasley. Good save by Smith. And I think 3-0 would have been harsh on Bromley, given the way that the game has panned out. Here is Oakley Booth for Blackpool, and there are Bromley fans who are streaming out of the stadium now as Blackpool win a free kick, and really with that cheap chance you feel like was the last chance for Bromley.
Yeah, absolutely. And they would have had a bit of momentum. The crowd would have been up, and possibly they could have got in some good positions to load the box and put some balls in. But unfortunately, with that chance missed, that's the game gone, and Blackpool just cantering to their victory now. It's strange, isn't it? I think sometimes it can be tactical, the differences between the two halves, but I think subconsciously sometimes the players think the job's done.
Olamola's won it off the defender. Husband sliding in with the tackle is Morgan. Excellent challenge on Olamola, cleared away by Husband, who has been very good for Blackpool. He's already made a mistake up until that point, and just as it looked like Bromley might cause a threat in the last 90 seconds, Blackpool get it away. Blackpool 2-0 up, and we're nearly there.
You get a little greedy, don't you, when you watch the attacking interplay of the first half, and it's so enjoyable. You anticipate it happening again in the second period, but so often it's not the case, and it becomes a little bit drab, and that's certainly been what we've seen from Blackpool in this second half. Not nearly as exciting. I think it is a mindset thing sometimes a little bit the fitness levels as well. You're really sharp in the first half, able to take people on, take people out of the game, and not had that in the one-on-one situations in the second period at all. So it'd be interesting to hear what Neil Critchley says, whether it was a tactic to just sit off a little bit, or maybe that's a product of not having the depth. If you've got the quality changes to keep the level, the drop-off isn't as much.
Last 30 seconds into the far post by Crowhouse, and it's overhit the left-footed in-swinging delivery. He looks a player, does Ben Crowhouse, a product of the Bromley Academy, 19 years of age, and his deliveries have caused occasional problems for Blackpool tonight, but the League One team have done well. And actually, it's worth saying, Sam Parkin, in the build-up to that cheek miss, brilliant save by O'Donnell to deny a Coley's header, and that's the most work the goalkeeper's really had to do.
Yeah, really good save, switched on till the last. I think ultimately the game was won by the two wire players, wasn't it, in the first half, their quality, their energy, and I think maybe the slight surprise element, they shouldn't have been too surprised, but I just thought those two were electric, and Andy Woodman's men just had no answer.
That's the full-time whistle. Blackpool are through to the second round of the FA Cup.